far too long by that spineless man, that greedy man, that heartless man, deceiving man, that government hand, taking blood and land, taking blood and land, and still they can't. But you're dreaming, for the warrior spirit lives on, and it is so, so, so strong in the earth, in the trees, in the rocks, in the water, in your blood, in the air we breathe. Soldier on, my good country.
It's a necessity at this stage that we see materials for their true use. And the problem is, in Europe, everything is so, and America, everything is so abundant that we don't value it. And it's pathetic. And the reason I can say it's pathetic is children right now, such as Greta, are striking from school. And they're striking from school and losing their childhood to get adults who are actually more immature than them to listen. And the reason the adults are more immature than Greta, even though she's much, much younger than them, is simply because their brains, their bodies have been subjected to a system for much longer than she has. And that system has created inside them weaknesses, thought patterns, habituated desire or desire-seeking patterns. They've been inside a system that for so long has told them that it's normal to go out and buy, that so long told them that convenience is important. They've been in a system where instead of cities putting water fountains with paper cups everywhere, or with hemp, ideally hemp paper cups, we have to buy plastic bottles of water. One of the main resources that we know would cost the government absolutely nothing to put freely available inside cities and towns and villages. The adults of this world have created inside them so many pathways of desire that they are now way less intelligent, have way less foresight than children like Greta. And that's what I keep saying. The lower nature of man has to be tackled. We have to find a way to find an antidote for what consumerist society has done to our minds. What consumerist society has done to adults is made them walking zombies who know deep down they can't live without this addiction, without this desire, they can't live without this way. And children are having to step in who as of yet have not been exposed to that as long as most adults, and thus have some common sense. And for those of us who were exposed to it and were like that, you're talking to a man who used to drive a V8 Audi. I was like that. I used to think in that sense of bigger is better, desiring hedonic purchases, a faster car is a better car. I used to think that way. But I started to engineer myself using fasting, prayer and meditation. Basically, if you just look straight to meditation, that's how you re-engineer your mind. But there are damn few people strong enough to sit still and face the 30, 40 years of shite that they've put inside their mind. To face all of the regrets, to face all of the things they need forgiveness for, and at the same time to face those periods of absence where your body doesn't get to partake in its addictions, it doesn't get to partake in its desires, and it's uncomfortable. And thus people get uncomfortable and they need something outside of them to make them happy again, so they run off and make more purchases. But it can be undone. And in children it's already undone. They naturally already feel it. They see it, they know it. And many adults who have de-engineered their mind, which have been built up inside that consumerist society, are also starting to see and say, hey, come on. You call yourself parents. How can you say you're a good mother, father, grandmother, grandparent, auntie or uncle if you have zero conscious involvement in protecting the only habitat your children can survive on? And these are topics nobody wants to talk about. Everybody's so scared of these topics. Everybody. If you look at the amount of people on the planet, clearly we have a problem with population growth. People don't want to discuss it. It's terrifying for them. They say, no, nature will make a way. Nature's only way is what humans decide at present. Unless, of course, something catastrophic goes on. as in a virus or some sort of volcanic turbulence that's going to eradicate many of us humans here on Earth. That would be nature's way of righting it, but it's not happening. And thus, as you look out in the world, you have to ask, what sort of human are you? Do you give a shit, really give a shit about your children? Because I meet people who say they love their children, but then they aren't willing to stop the countless hours they waste on the television, the countless hours they waste using alcohol, the countless hours they waste seeking hedonic pleasure in excess, and sit down and read some studies and to start evaluating how they can protect the planet for their children. They won't do it because they're polluted by the consumerist mindset. And thank God that there are children out there who are brave enough and strong enough to sacrifice their childhood to talk to those people, because those people are often like the living dead. Anyone who needs out of necessity external things for their joy is always going to be running in second or third place to somebody who does not require those things, someone who can generate their own joy from within.
I want you to act as if the house was on fire. I have said those words before, and a lot of people has explained why that is a bad idea. A great number of politicians have told me that panic never leads to anything good. And I agree. To panic, unless you have to, is a terrible idea. But when your house is on fire and you want to keep your house from burning to the ground, then that does require some level of panic. We are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction, and the extinction rate is up to 10,000 times faster than what is considered normal, with up to 200 species becoming extinct every single day. Erosion of fertile topsoil, deforestation of our great forests, toxic air pollution, loss of insects and wildlife, the acidification of our oceans. These are all disastrous trends being accelerated by a way of life that we, here in our financially fortunate part of the world, see as our right to simply carry on. Our house is falling apart, and our leaders need to start acting accordingly, because at the moment they are not. If our house was falling apart, our leaders wouldn't go on like you do today. You would change almost every part of your behavior, as you do in an emergency. If our house was falling apart, you wouldn't hold 3 emergency Brexit summits and no emergency summit regarding the breakdown of the climate and environment. The EU elections are coming up soon, and many of us who will be affected the most by this crisis, people like me, are not allowed to vote. Nor are we in a position to shape the decisions of business, politics, engineering, media, education or science. Because the time it takes for us to educate ourselves to do that simply does no longer exist. And that is why millions of children are taking it to the streets, school striking for the climate to create attention for the climate crisis. You need to listen to us, we who cannot vote. You need to vote for us, for your children and grandchildren. What we are doing now can soon no longer be undone. In this election, you vote for the future living conditions for humankind. And though the politics needed do not exist today, some alternatives are certainly less worse than others. And I have read that some parties do not even want me standing here today because they so desperately do not want to talk about climate breakdown. To do your best is no longer good enough. We must all do the seemingly possible. And it's okay if you refuse to listen to me. I am, after all, just a 16-year-old schoolgirl from Sweden. But you cannot ignore the scientists, or the science, or the millions of school-striking children who are school-striking for the right to a future. I beg you, please do not fail on this.
Soldier on, my good countrymen. Keep fighting for your culture now. Keep fighting for your land. I know it's been thousands of years, and I feel your hurt, and I know it's wrong, and you feel you've been chained and broken and burned. And those beautiful old people, those wise old souls have been ground down for far too long.